Welcome to Connected. I'm your host, Haley Trimboli, and whether you're PhD curious or you're navigating your program or wondering what your fellow graduates are up to, this podcast is your go-to for inspiring stories, actionable insights, and meaningful connections within the PhD community. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Dr. Magali Balayn Lelong, a researcher and expert in adult learning, leadership development, and organizational psychology. She holds a PhD from the University des Tours, where her research focused on emancipation and authorization processes in adult education. Magali has spent years helping organizations unlock and leverage experiential knowledge, designing leadership development programs, and guiding change management strategies for teams and businesses. She has worked across industries from healthcare to corporate training, ensuring that learning and development align with both business goals and human values. She's also deeply committed to improving employee engagement, facilitating knowledge transmission, and driving meaningful transformation within organizations. So I'm excited to dive into her journey, her insights on leadership and adult learning, and how her research can help us all rethink how we grow, adapt, and lead. So Magali, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for
Great. Yeah. Where does this podcast find you today?
It's great. It's more or less a spring, so soon here in France. So yes, I'm good day.
Amazing.
Thank you. And what about you?
Yes, today I am in Los Angeles area. It seems like a spring day, although we've had a lot of rain, but the weather is warm and it's sunny. So I'm always happy when that's the case. Great. All right. Well, let's just dive right in. I would love to start sort of at the beginning of your PhD journey and better understand what made you decide to pursue a PhD in adult learning. Like, was this always a plan of yours, or was there something in your life that happened that pushed you in that direction?
So, very interesting question. So to be totally honest, I think I always wanted to do a PhD as soon as I knew what it was. So, but it's my first thought when I was in university first time. I have not very succeeded in it, but it has always been in my head. And then I had the opportunity to go back to study with the process of, so, you use your experience to go back to university. And then I did a master degree in training design strategy. And then I had a question, but my question was not replied by the master degree. And I wanted to go deeper. So this is how I went doing a PhD, and it was at the time in my life because I had the space and agency to do the PhD, but I really wanted to answer that question. So it's like I had a question that was running in the back of my head, and that's how it started.
I see. So I wonder if I should dive into what that question is yet. Maybe I will. Like, what was the question that you had that kind of brought you into, I want to commit to further learning and studying this?
So the fact is that I had seen that for me, going back to study, so for adults, was kind of emancipative process. And I wanted to know why. I was sure that it was an event. Pretty sure that it was an emancipative process, but I wanted to know how this process works. Why? And it was my experience, and I wanted to see what it will be for the other person. So that was my question.
I see. Is that like what led you to the university that you ended up landing at? Like, was this also part of was there faculty there that you knew was going to help you unpack that question? Was it you were just familiar with it?
You mean the PhD or going back to study for the master degree?
I'm thinking about the PhD, but if there's anything as well into the master's, I think.
So the fact is that I really had the impression that the master degree was not enough to reply, and I was in adult learning. So that means that all of the persons who were in my master degree, who were in master degree with me, were all adults. They were all professionals who were there to reflect on their practice, they were trainer, people in HR. So everybody was there to reflect on their process. To what can you do to improve your practice? as a professional. But I think I was at the right place at the right moment, but really at the right place, because in my university, um, in France, they are really deep diving into all of those questions. So finally, I think it's right time at the right place. This was the right place to reflect on that, to go deeper on that. And I was very interested in all of the things that were studied at that time in my lab. So I felt that I could have the good resources to work on that, that I could find people who will help me on that.
Mm-hmm. And so did you what did the time frame look like for you? Like right when you completed the master's, you got right into the PhD because you had this burning question, or was there a time difference there?
So the fact is, I have to explain how it works in France first.
Yes, please.
So after my PhD, not as my PhD, sorry, after my master's degree, I did it in continuous training. So that means that I was still working at the time. And I took 1 year because when you want to you have the master degree, but my master was a master also with epistemology of research. So I knew how to make research.
Mm.
And then I talked to one of my further professor, and he told me, make your question go deeper.
Mm.
So, and then I had the chance, and I don't know if we will go deep in that, but I was at a conference in my university, and I was saying that I wanted, then you have to find a supervisor. In France, you have to find a supervisor who accepts to guide you.
Mm.
And then finally, really by chance, I found my supervisor. And also then I could enter the process. So the process in France is you have 3 years to make your PhD.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are in continuous training like I did, you have 6 years. Because you are supposed to do as work and have PhD. And I completed in 5 years.
Wow.
So you are supposed to have one foot in research and one foot in working. So that means that because you have two types of PhD, one is for art science, so people are paid by doing that. But me, I was not paid in my funding, and I had to work at the same time.
Yeah. And that's sort of the same here. And I found when I talk to folks, it's very interesting the differences of those two.
Yeah.
Like one, you get paid to be in the PhD program. You're doing some specific research potentially, or two, you're paying to be in it, right? And I feel like that's an interesting guide to somebody on their decisions, right?
Yeah. Because you have to take into account how would I live during that time. How would I live at that time? And also, the last year it was COVID. So I have to admit that it helped me because I was in lockdown. We had a very stiff lockdown here in France. So actually I could not do anything than working on my PhD. So I really wasn't verbal. It was the last year, the year of right.
That was the last year of your PhD was when COVID happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, wow. So a lot of people hesitate, I think, regardless of what route you go in this PhD to even start one because of the time, the commitment, regardless, whether you're balancing the job or you're just doing the PhD full time. Like thinking about that and your process, like what did that look like for you, the time and the commitment? And then also like, if you looked back, like what's one thing that you wish you would have maybe known before starting and making that commitment?
So the thing that I wish I knew before, I knew it, but I had not processed it, is that you really have to wait the end to know what it will look like. And what was difficult, of course, you have you have all of the material and logistic things. So you work, how do you balance your family life, your working life, etc. But also the fact that you are in total fog. You say it looks like nothing. What I don't think that what I write is good or whatever, Because the thing that, if I have maybe one advice, no, I have several, but one thing that I would say to people who wants to start a PhD is don't forget that when you read a PhD that is done, the end, you read a beautiful made up story. So everything happens to fall in the right place, but this is not the reality. This is not the reality of what happened. Because and I guess you know that too, but the final is the best version of the PhD. It's not what really happened. When you have the impression and you read that, just before starting, you say, wow, this is so wise. This is so everything. Wow. No. Because you don't talk about all of the station you had, all of the times, all the things that you have written that were absolutely pointless, because, yeah. So this is what I would say. Don't get impressed by the beautiful story that you are reading at the end. We all have been through about something that was absolutely not good, but it's a learning process.
Yeah, no doubt. That's such a good point. Like when you see the manuscripts of the dissertations, they're so fleshed out and they're beautiful, but didn't start that way usually, right? Never.
No. So this is the thing that I wish I would have more understood before, because maybe I've been told that I forgot, is the fact that it's a beautiful story that I read at.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, who's a PhD not for? Like, are there people that you would say, like, you were interested in it, but maybe based on this or that, I wouldn't recommend it. Like, are there any people that you would, or kind of process these journeys that you would say, maybe this isn't the best approach for you?
I think that if you do not have that question, I will talk about social science, not hard science when you are in the process where you are paid, and because in social science, you choose your question, more or less. So when you're in the process, if it does not burn you inside, you don't get it. Because I don't know if that makes sense for you, but is a very, the question has to be to a point where it's almost existential. If I do not solve that question, I will always regret.
So, having something to drive you through, because it's a long process that if you don't maybe have that existential question that you're willing to go into dark places, deep places for that, it might be challenging or not, maybe worth it at that point until you do maybe lock into that thing.
Yeah. And also I think that at one point you have to deliver. So I don't know what was your experience, but at the end, you are supposed to be fed up with your PhD. Fed up. I want it to be done. So
yeah, absolutely. You don't want to hang out there. You actually have to. That's a great point. You have to deliver something. You have to produce something and get through it. You have to get to the end.
Yeah, exactly. So this is if you you really have that burning question, but to understand also that it's at one point you have to deliver, and also I think that a PhD is a school of humility. Because the things when you do a PhD is that actually you know nothing, or you don't know anything. I'm not sure of the grammar of that. That's the idea. You don't know anything. Yeah.
Let's go into that. Like, tell me more. Like, what did that look like for you? Like, the fact that you go into this PhD program to gain knowledge, to create something, but at the same time, you have to have humility. Like, what did that look like for you in the journey?
So I remember I sent to my supervisor a document of something like 60 pages, and I received all of that underlined and written. I may have missed something, but I don't see the point. And but so it's very difficult, and you want to recycle it, but no. you have to you have to let it go, which was very difficult, but he was right. And also, at the same time, at the beginning, you are quite overwhelmed by all of the things that are existing in your field that you don't know. So you
Yeah.
want to you want to show, and I don't know how you relate to that and what the other person would say, but one of the most frustrating things is you read something and you will not use it. You will not use it. But you want to say, hey, I read it. No, I read it. No. There is ability is accepting that people don't find what you have, don't see the point of what you have produced, because a PhD, and this is something that it took me. I have not got that immediately, but a PhD is not an exam. It's you will produce something that will give you the right to sit at the table of your peers. So, and also you will have you will be in your very tiny domain of expertise, area of expertise, you will be the expert. You are the only one who know about that. So that means that it can be challenging because you are to a point where no one can correct me because I am the expert. So you have to embody that. I am very interested in the question of role and status. And I think that a PhD has something to see with the role and status. And to what extent you have to accept that you will have to embody your PhD. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, and I hope I'm understanding it, but it's like you have a responsibility at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like you might be sitting at the same table as your peers in the topic, the domain, but at the same time, like what you are creating or delivering is still different and unique.
Exactly.
And so you have the responsibility at that point in time as well to accurately, display the information or to help others understand it and apply it, etc.
Exactly. Because the difficulty when you write a PhD, it has to be accessible, but it has to be it has to be very stiff and not attackable. I don't know, attackable. So it has to be, you are in charge of the integrity of your research.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you, for your dissertation, you wrote about, I have the title here, so value formation, value of adult education, study of emancipation and authorization processes in adult learning. So is this right?
No, this is a paper I wrote.
This isn't the dissertation.
No, so actually it is a paper and it is a paper that has been tried. I'm very happy. But
yes, congratulations.
No, the fact is my PhD, the title is Emancipation and Authorization in Processes in Adult Learning, and a study of moment of experiential moment of auto-formation, which cannot be very easily translated in English. So the idea is also to measure, to see that process. I have asked people about their intense moments of experience. So this is the methodology I've used. Yeah.
And tell me a little bit of like how you landed again on this topic to dive into.
So there is two things. So the topic was something very, very, very important. How can adult learning be an emancipative? No, it is why it is an emancipative process. What is the process behind? Is there a pattern that all of the person, all of the patterns, all of the patterns the person follows? So this was my question. And to do that, I had this methodology, which is diving into intense moments of experience. So this is a methodology that I use now in my work, but that has been developed by my supervisor, and it has to do with all of the fields of transformative learning, of emancipation, all of those. Does that reply to your question? I'm not sure.
Yeah. It was a personal
Yeah,
drive to get
yeah,
you here.
yeah,
So thinking about the PhD journey
yeah.
itself and being in the program, like what were some of the biggest shocks for you or the biggest challenges of being in the actual program?
So the biggest challenges is being alone. You are alone. Even if you have some lab meeting, you are alone. You do your stuff, you write, and because you are in adult learning, you may have some, you may have milestone, let's say, but not as much as, because if you do not produce anything, so of course the university wants you to finish, of course, but it's on your own. You make your own path. So this is the challenge because you have to be very, very disciplined. You say, okay, I remember I was saying to my supervisor, I had two of them, I will send you one chapter at that time and I will send you. So you have to be, this is very challenging because it's a very school of autonomy. The shock, what was the shock can be also leaning to the challenge. The shock, can it be a good shock? Can it be a good trouble? Which was a conference I attended. So the
Yeah.
good trouble is as the conference. I didn't expect that it will be so much fun. So much
Mm,
fun. So much. It's very interesting. It's maybe thing to do when you're a PhD student. Go to conferences because you confront your idea because it's the only way finally to stop that loneliness. You meet
mm,
people like you who are interested in the same thing as you are, and even if you are a PhD student, you are treated like a researcher. So the shock is that it's the fun, but also how much you learn because you have to debate and you have to confront your idea. You know, you meet people who are very, very, they are senior in the discipline and all the professors. And all they can say, they can totally endorse what you say and they can say, I totally disagree.
yeah.
In front of a row. Okay. So how do I manage that? I totally
Yeah.
disagree. But,
Yeah.
this is a school of saying, sane debate, I would say.
Mm. Yeah. So I love that. I do think that you build some thick skin. I don't know the right word for it, but like when you're in those moments that you it's a practice, right? And you have to put yourself into that situation to be
Yeah.
able to evolve and transform. I remember being in my program, like there's so many conferences, there's so many societies or associations. Like, how did you narrow in on the ones that made sense for you to go to so that you could sort of see that community or the other peoples and have those experiences? Like, what helped you to narrow down and find those
Yeah,
places?
a very, very important question. And I had the chance that my supervisor guided me. They say,
Mm-hmm.
go to that conference, enter that community.
Mm,
So finally, and it was the right place
yeah, great.
because you're right. There is a lot of conferences, a lot of, so you don't know where will I find the right space for me. So this is, I think this is part of the job of the supervisor. I
Yeah.
think to say
Yeah.
one is good for you and I
Mm-hmm.
can recommend you and I can help you and you will find it will be useful for you. So yes, I
Yeah.
think it, because at the beginning you have no idea.
Right.
Everything looks fancy, everything looks, and also you say, oh, I want to go there or it's interesting. And no. I think it's the job of the provider.
Yeah, I think so. And I think PhD students, if you have something in mind and you have some topics, theories that you're following and like almost taking that, well, one, your supervisor, your faculty should know you enough to maybe know what you're interested at that point. But
Yes,
if they don't, like feeling empowered to go to them and ask them those questions as well. Like, hey, I am interested in these things. Where should I
yeah,
go? Because I think it's a little intimidating. You don't know. There's so many, like, and you want to make sure where you commit your time that
exactly.
it's helpful for you, that you're entering into the right conversations.
Exactly. And also at the beginning, you don't know the name. You don't
Yeah.
know what is working on what. You don't know what will be useful for you, what will be the connection you make, and also because you don't think of that at the beginning. You will have to choose, and maybe this is my experience in Europe, in France, but you will have to choose the committee for your defense.
Yeah.
So it's important to start to see what are people doing, to be sure that they are in the right, you are in the right.
So academia can be very isolating, lonely. Conferences could help. Are there other avenues or routes to find that like mentorship or community or such that you discovered in your process, or you would recommend to students to find that sort of connection and community?
I would say that a conference is the best way to build a community. I have met friends for life there, really. And I have found resources, and this is a way to build a community. But the thing is, I was lucky to have been pushed by my supervisor from the beginning to say, okay, you go to this conference and you belong to this community and to this research association. So it was great, and this is how I built the community. But and the community is still alive. But it's very, very important to have people who also to be in with other PhD students, because you only people with a PhD or doing that journey can understand what you face, can understand what you have to cope with, what you are struggling with. So I know that there is some online community online to. I personally had the chance to have, because my supervisor the first year to say, oh, you go in conference.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted, and this is maybe the best advice I would give is go in a conference as soon as possible, as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even, but be sure that the topic has something to see with your PhD, that you will contribute, but also you will learn something.
Mm-hmm.
If your supervisor cannot help you, ask another professor in your
Mm-hmm.
department, but it is
Mm-hmm.
very, very, or other PhD students. But I would say for me, this is the most important. To have that community, to have
Mm-hmm.
also and do attend. So maybe this is something that is specific to France, but we have, so you're a PhD student, so you belong to a lab, and you have a lab meeting. And this is very important to attend them, to talk with the other students, to what you are struggling, what you're, and also do not hesitate to ask for resources,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes you do not have access to them and you don't know how to do, and you don't know, but ask, really
Mm-hmm.
ask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Even
That's
if it can be intimidating, or
Yeah, and just being very honest in those conversations, because you'll probably get something, right? If you're showing up and asking those questions.
Yeah, yeah, and also something what I have noticed is the researchers are very willing to help you. I don't know if this is what you have experienced or the experience of the other, but every time I have asked for help, I had more than
Yeah, that's great. And so I'd love to ask a little bit about your research process too, because you said you
yeah.
studied that. You had a strong, it sounds like you had a strong foundation in your master's program with
Yeah.
research going into the PhD program. So was it smooth sailing for you, or were there still sort of the normal ups and downs?
No, there was ups and downs.
Yeah.
Sometimes you no. The fact is that I had the chance to had a very strong background in methodology. So, and for me, this is for me the most important. It's methodology. Do you have something that you can rely on methodology? because this will be this is the ground. You can be attracted in some theory and also in others, and there's so regarding the up and downs is sometimes you look for something, you read a lot of things and nothing talks to you, but absolutely nothing. So you're really down. You say, I run into circles. This is not what I write is not interesting. And also you have someday you have the impression that your writing is very smooth. And some other day you have the impression that everything you write can be said by 5 years old, so it's very short on vocabulary, you make a lot of stuff. And so you have to accept that this is up and down. But the really up is for me when you find a text that you fell in love with. You say, okay, this is something. This is something, and this is something that is grounding. I can rely on. I can step into to build something. But the downs is when those are the ups, but the down is that you say, but what I have written is pointless. Or also you don't see where you are going. You don't see where you are going. You don't see, you are in the total fog. And so you have to, this is one expression I use, but I think it's the most accurate. You have to dance with uncertainty. Okay, I don't know what I have written, and I am in total fog, but I accept that. These are the dance and yes, yes, the feeling of being totally lost. What is the point of that? What is the point of that? What is the point of and yes, you. I think I never wanted to quit. But to some point to say, because the difficulty is when you're absolutely tired, when you don't want you're absolutely tired, you're fed up with everything, but you say, I want to do something good. So you will, yes, the most difficult is to maintain that level for me of excellence all along the process.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have even one sentence that will be so-so. So this is exhausting because sometimes you will say, who will read that? Seriously, who will read that? So why do I beat myself to do something that is super, super, super good when maybe no one will read that, or only the people who have to, the people sure it does. So that was, or to maintain that level of excellence every time.
It's such an internal journey. Like it's such a you and your paper and your ideas and right. Yeah. And yeah. And thinking about the dance of uncertainty, like, is this like how long may you live in that moment? I mean, I guess it's the whole journey, but I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, do you spend a day? It just happens daily, every day. Okay, I don't like this, but I get back in the literature, I read something and the next day I'm back. Like, I'm thinking like time frame. It's just the dance or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know. I think it's like, wait, you have some period when you say, wow, I know what I want to say. The fact is that maybe I don't want to. I will share one tip I had, which was very powerful for me. I have separated what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say. So one is about the substance, the other one is about the format. And I made what I want to say, and it has to be really out of the brain. So it was notes, it was sketches, it was not well said, but the idea is the what. And then when I had all of the what, then it was the how. But I have noticed it was difficult for me to do the what and the how at the same time. So I separated it. And so that means that when you are in the what, it's really brainstorming and you are this you can be in the thought. But when I was in the how do I write it? It was more mechanical. And also something that I don't know, Haley, I guess you have improved that too. The more you write, the better your quality of writing is.
Yeah. I love this. I love this. The what and the how, and separating those two
Yeah,
as a tool for folks.
it works for me. And this is something that I still use because it's too difficult to do the how and the what. And for me, it makes no sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so now that you graduated and you're in leadership development consulting, like how does your PhD influence your work today? Like, do you see the direct impact of your research on the daily? Like, what does that look like for you?
So the fact is that now I work on experiential knowledge, and this is absolutely extracted from what I have seen during my PhD. So first, and so I am still working on that. I am working on really all of the harnessing the experiential knowledge. This is something that I keep on working on. And also I am what is called a scholar practitioner. So I still am in research and I am in the business at the same time, trying to have the best of both if possible. But the fact is that when you in business, when you have a PhD, it's a pros and a con. So the pros is that no one will, and I guess you know that no one will, you don't have to prove that what you say is serious. But you have to prove that you are close to a concern of business. So you are not far in your research, and so I would say this is that, and also I have just followed because the process of experiential capturing and leveraging this experiential knowledge. It's from my research, and I could have followed a pre-incubation program from the French research, supported by the French research, and you could access that program only if your ID and your business ID is from research. So obviously it opened doors. Thank God. All of this work is not for nothing. Yes, and I think that for me, but it's for me, and once again, it's in social science and it's related to my research. Doing a PhD is building your identity. So you will never be the same when, of course, you are never the same one day after another, but it changes the perception of yourself. And for me, there is two steps. One step is, okay, which is working so you do your PhD, and then it's embracing the status of your PhD, which is something different.
Yeah, and regardless, if you're a scholarly practitioner or so, even if you're in academia full time, like that stays with you, like what you did in your PhD. And it kind of goes back to like you almost have that responsibility to share, disseminate what you found.
You really have to, I think from what I have seen, some people after your PhD, so you have different ways. What can I do after that? What are the application? And then you will choose one and you will follow that line. But yes, it's part of you. Then it's you.
Yeah.
You have to but it's you, but you have to let it go. It does not belong to you anymore.
Yeah. 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 So as a scholarly practitioner, I think a lot of people would be interested to know, like, what does the typical day look like for you? How do you balance research, but consulting and experiential knowledge? Like, how do you balance those aspects?
So one thing I have learned through PhD is that it's autonomy. I can work. I do not need to be, so I do my own schedule. And I think this is the same for you when you are working on projects. You are working for you. So you have to, if I do not produce, no one will have me. So I always have to be very, very disciplined. And I try to work one day. For instance, now I am working on articles, on papers, and also this is research. And then I work on consulting, and I try not to do the same thing, because it's not the same brain. It's not the same brain, and I really have to have the capacity to really separate it, because actually it's two different worlds. It's too different, and I see that there is like pédibonderie. How do I translate pédibonderie in English? Like a prevention in academia to say that you want to leverage your research, because research is a common good and kind of thing. And when you are in business, you don't have to show that it's smart. You have to show that it can bring money. So you have two different
Yes.
you have two different words, and you have to have two different minds, and you have to switch to who I am to people. Okay. So the idea is to be. It's not to bring the flow, really flow between brackets to the different words. It's to be okay. So I will show in academia, when I am in academia, I will show it's smart, it works, and in business, it can bring money.
Yeah.
So you really have, it's a question of mind, and also to be able to work by your own. And of course, you have not a lot, but the most important is how can you work by your own, and to both, and having an accountability partner, and all of those accountability websites are very, very important. And we will not advert for one, but on I use, there is a lot of researching, a lot of it. Because you need, and I guess this is the same for you, Ailey. I don't know if you're working by your own, but you need to have to do on accountability. I have the chance that body doubling is working very well for me. So I have accountability partner, friend, and researcher, and we work, and I have the little camera. I can see we are both working at the same. And also some coffee shop, just to people working with me. What is the sense of your question?
Yeah. And I think this is great. And are these like your accountability partners? Are these people that you've met through the conferences, through your program? Like if somebody, like, is that the best person? I'm sure somebody at the other end of their PhD might already know who that person is, but if they don't, like, is it still like this?
Not sure, because the fact is, I would say it's not a question for me. It's not a question of someone who has a PhD or not a PhD, or it's someone who has the same way of working that you have.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and you who have the same type of task that you have.
Yeah.
That would say. So because sometimes you just have to do admin, so you need to be focused on some for 30 minutes, or you will have to deep dive into a text, and then you will need 1 hour or two of being very, very focused. So I would say the question of having the right person who have the same type of task.
Yeah. I think that's very important, especially in a more maybe virtual or remote sort of way of working. You could be just very isolated in that. And so I love even just going to a coffee shop or something and seeing other people doing work to help maybe stimulate or get something moving forward that might feel stuck.
Yeah. You have, I would not, in France, public library, because public library are very, very noisy. You have university library, but university library, there is not enough plug.
Yeah, we need the practical things to make it work.
And you cannot enter with your coffee. So, and maybe me, I am the one, I need a lot of space, because I
my snacks, my drinks, and
and also I take some nuts from something. So and so you need to find the type of I think it is.
Yeah.
So when you have your best place, take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
try it, experiment, and then hopefully you find one.
Yeah, and don't be disappointed if you do not find it. There is obviously a way, a space and place where you can find something that is for you. But don't be discouraged and do not hesitate to try several.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, different
Several.
places. Yeah, and I really appreciate your insight as well into like understanding as a scholarly practitioner, like the different whys of what you're doing, whether it's academia or more of a consulting sort of business focus,
Yeah.
because I think often you might think you need to integrate all these things in your life, and maybe that is the case and it's still you showing up, but that things have different purposes and approaching them, understanding that, I think helps.
Yeah, and also the thing is that what I found very discouraging is that the sense of recognition, which is very, very important. So being recognized, if you do not work as a teacher in academia, if you are not a professor, all of the recognition you will have, and it's great, but it's really for nothing, you know. It does not bring you food. It does not. So you really have to see, okay, it's great to have recognition in academia, this kind of thing, but what do I really want? How can I leverage it? And in what direction I go? It's very, 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 very important to say how do you want to do it? And this is what, for instance, I would like to courses about experiential knowledge because I think it's very important and also it's renew for me, experiential knowledge, which is not experiential learning, it's really knowledge. All of the knowledge you have from your experience, this is what people will need to deal with the AI disruption because all of the job will change, all of them. So the question is, what is the future of my job? And I think that you will have to tap in your experiential knowledge to imagine the future of your job. So this is what I would like. I am working on making a course to offer that to university, but on the other hand, you say, I am spending a lot of time doing that. Maybe it will not work. So also you will really have, because in business, the reply, does it work? Will it work? The reply more or less yes or no, very immediate.
Yeah.
You know, you launch an idea, you see, is the market ready for that? Yes, no, okay, what price? Okay. But academia, no, the process are very, very, very long. So, because when people say, oh, I would like to collaborate with you, that means that it's something for the next 3 years. So what do you do in the meantime? You know, say, okay, great, but how do I live? So you really have to make good choice. But I would say do not, because the idea of this podcast is to say to people, what can you do with a PhD and what can you do after a PhD? Do what is really worth for you, at least in terms of joy and pleasure and excitement. I was talking about a burning fire inside of you, burning flame inside of you. I don't know if it's the right word. This has to be the same after, you know, do something that is very important to you.
Yeah. It's going to help sustain the long journey through the ups and downs and feel good.
Exactly. I think this is exactly what you are experiencing now. You believe in what you do. So if you do not believe in it, this is a question here for sustainability. How will you survive the up and down?
Yeah.
And I think also the idea is a question of contribution. All of what I have done, how I can bring back, because there is something in the PhD at the end. So call it the chapter 5, the ending or whatever. Not the discussion, but after that, it's okay. I have made a research, great, fantastic. But how do I share? What do I bring to the world? How can I contribute? And it's really this question, how can I contribute to the world? And it has to be for me, it has to be the main question. I do something, okay, but how can I share with the other? to what extent will it bring you something? And you are a researcher, so the ultimate pleasure, it's when you talk about your topic and you have someone, only one person who say, "Oh, I find it very helpful for me." It makes your day.
Yeah.
It makes your day. It makes your day.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a huge part of it, is making the contribution and helping someone, or,
exactly.
down the line.
Exactly. If someone will say, "Oh, what you said, it has touched me before. Because I really felt that for me. So my topic was how to talk to people, the processes, about emancipation in adult learning. And I had the feeling I will be the voice of those people.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I felt, and this is what because you interview people, so they give something very, very personal, very,
Yeah.
very deep, and you have to respect that. I remember one of my professor in master degree, when she was talking about research methodology, she said the talk of the words of the person is the salt of the earth, and this is true. This is exactly that. It was the salt of the earth. And so they give you something, and you have to take a very good care of that, and really say, my PhD is just here to highlight that, to take care of that. I don't know what is the name of the box, in which you put the ring.
Yes, I don't know either. I'm blanking.
Yes, it's this is exactly that. You're here to highlight what the people have shared with you. This is how I see this is how I felt that, and this is what your research should be.
Yeah. I think it's so exciting. I think somebody with a PhD is so powerful because of like all that they know, and what they can help or bring or put out there, because they're that expert. And I think it's an exciting place to be. I think we can get stuck a lot, but I do think that, we work through it, and we eventually, get something out there. So
Yeah, you bring it to the world. So this is a question of the contribution of now, because I think, and I hope that most of the people will say that a PhD gave me a lot, research gave me a lot. Now it's time to give back.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I have two final questions.
Yeah.
The first one is, what's one book or podcast or article that you think that every PhD student should read or listen to?
For the podcast, I will think of yours, obviously.
Yes.
But the book I would recommend, I don't have a specific book, but any book on methodology, so, for instance, research, research in social science, this kind of book, very grounded methodology, because you will always have to go there. And I would recommend, yes, maybe one book, which is The Logic of Inquiry from John Dewey. For me, everything is explained.
Great. Awesome. And then the second, oh yeah, sorry.
No.
The second question is, if you could give your younger self one piece of advice before starting your PhD, what would it be?
It's worth it.
It's
worth it.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. That would be it's worth it. Don't be impressed, discouraged, and at the end you will, and at the end you will absolutely, yes, it's worth it.
Yeah, I think that's gold. I think that's exactly what somebody needs to hear, and see that you're here, you did it, what you've gone through, and you're still saying that, right?
Yeah. It's really worth it. Yeah. I would not hesitate now. Me, after the PhD, I would not hesitate not to do once again. No, I will not. But yes, it's really worth it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been a great conversation, learning
Thank
more
you.
about your journey through academia, what you're
Thank you very
contributing
much.
now, what you're working on or thinking about. So very inspiring. I really think people will take a lot away from this. Before we wrap up,
Yeah.
what is the best place for people to like follow your work or maybe connect with you or hear more about what you're doing?
So, for researchers, research kid, but my profile is more or less updated. But I would say it's LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the place to be to connect with people because I need to do some update, but I reply and everybody is connected by LinkedIn. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
how you found me actually.
Exactly. It's a great platform, I think,
Even
for
if we were on
academic.
the same, yeah, even if we were on the same community, same conference online, but yeah. And
Wonderful.
thank you very much. I hope it will
Yeah.
be helpful.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think it will. I really appreciate it again. So thanks.
Likewise.
What a great conversation with Dr. Magali. I thought she had amazing insights to share for folks who are either thinking about getting into a PhD. If you're in the PhD process, that great insight around separating the what of your research or your writing and then the how of the research and writing, and being able to kind of distinguish these two processes and separate them to help the workflow and move more. And then also post PhD, she is a scholarly practitioner. So folks who are interested in being or doing something similar once you graduate from your program, and separating the days of what you're working on and understanding really the outcomes that you're looking to drive for. And then I love the insight around finding community, because academia can be a very isolating journey. And so tapping into conferences and staying connected, finding accountability partners, going to coffee shops so that you can keep your work driving forward. What resonated with you the most? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop me a message or a comment. And thank you for tuning in to Connected. You can find all the links in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone in your PhD community. And be sure to follow along on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube for more conversations like this. So I hope to see you next time, and stay connected.